It was just another ordinary day on set, the buzz of cameras, the chatter of crew, the careful orchestration of every shot. But for Keanu Reeves, something extraordinary was about to happen. As the sun dipped below the horizon, wrapping the city in a golden glow, he noticed a small stray dog wandering near the edge of the lot. There was something in its eyes, a mixture of hope, loneliness, and resilience, that caught Keanu's attention. What started as a simple gesture, a fleeting moment of kindness, turned into a journey that would forever change how one of Hollywood's biggest stars viewed fame, fortune, and the true meaning of connection. In this story, we follow Keanu Reeves beyond the glitz and glamour, down a path filled with unexpected encounters, profound lessons, and a rediscovery of what truly matters. This is more than a tale of a man and a dog. It's a reflection on life, humility, and the invisible threads that bind us all. Chapter 1: The Unexpected Encounter. The day had been long. Keanu Reeves had just wrapped the final scene of his latest film, a gritty, introspective drama about loss and redemption. The crew was packing up, lights dimming as dusk settled over the quiet city streets. Most stars would have been whisked away by their entourages to some luxury hotel or private jet. But not Keanu. He wanted nothing more than to walk the streets, breathe in the real city, the one outside the bubble of fame. His thoughts drifted away from scripts and cameras towards something simpler, something raw. That's when he saw the dog. It was a scruffy, thin creature, its coat patchy, eyes bright but wary. The dog sat at the edge of the alleyway, casting glances at passers-by. Most people ignored it, giving it a wide berth or a dismissive glance, but something pulled Keanu in. He crouched down slowly, arms open in peace. The dog cocked its head, unsure, but didn't flee. "Hey there, little guy," Keanu murmured. "You hungry?" From his jacket, he pulled a granola bar and carefully broke off a small piece, holding it out. The dog hesitated, then took it gently. Keanu smiled, feeling an unfamiliar tug in his chest, a mix of compassion and curiosity. He glanced around. The city was closing in for the night, neon signs flickering on, casting a glow that made the dog's eyes sparkle. Without thinking, Keanu stood and began to follow. The dog didn't lead him down main avenues or bustling streets, but into quieter neighborhoods where the city's soul seemed to breathe beneath layers of concrete and steel. This wasn't just a stray dog, it was a guide, a bridge between Keanu's world of scripted fantasy and the unpredictable life beyond. As they walked, Keanu felt the first stirrings of a journey that would change everything he thought he knew about fame, success, and himself. Chapter 2: Following the Stray. The dog moved with purpose, navigating narrow alleys and side streets. Keanu kept pace, his mind drifting between disbelief and wonder. The city around them transformed. High-rise buildings gave way to low brick apartments. Street art painted vibrant stories on weathered walls, and the hum of nightlife softened to the murmur of community life. "Where are you taking me?" Keanu whispered, half to himself. The dog paused near a fire escape, glancing back to ensure Keanu was still following. Keanu noticed something about the dog's gait. It was confident but cautious, as if it knew dangers and safe havens alike. As they moved deeper, the faint scent of home-cooked food drifted on the breeze, mixed with the earthy smell of rain-dampened pavement. Children's laughter echoed from a nearby park, and an old man called out greetings to neighbors. Keanu felt himself stepping out of the shadow of fame and into a world pulsating with real stories, joy, pain, resilience, all unfiltered by cameras or scripts. They passed a community garden where a woman tended to sunflowers taller than her head. She waved to the dog and smiled warmly at Keanu. "Looks like you've made a friend," she said. Keanu nodded, heart swelling. For the first time in years, he wasn't an actor or a celebrity. He was just a man following a stray dog, discovering the beauty in the unnoticed, the stories behind the headlines, and the human connection beneath the surface. Chapter 3. Into the Heart of the City. As the night deepened, the city's shadows grew longer, but the life within them glowed with an undeniable warmth. Chance, the stray dog Keanu had begun calling by that name, led him with steady determination through the winding streets. Every step felt like peeling back layers of the city's soul. They arrived at a small park, nestled between two old apartment buildings. A community garden stretched along one side, overflowing with vibrant blooms, fresh herbs, and rows of vegetables tended by gentle hands. The sweet scent of jasmine mingled with the earthy aroma of soil turned by loving care. A group of children played nearby, their laughter light and carefree against the backdrop of the urban sprawl. An elderly woman sat on a bench, humming softly as she arranged freshly picked flowers in a vase beside her. "Good evening," Keanu said softly, not wanting to disturb the quiet harmony. The woman smiled, eyes twinkling beneath her silver hair. "You've got a good dog there," she said. "He's been coming by for years. We call him Lucky." Keanu knelt down and offered his hand to Chance. The dog accepted, nudging his palm gently with his nose. It was a simple connection, but it spoke volumes. "This place," Keanu whispered, "it's alive." The woman nodded. "It's more than just bricks and mortar. It's a community, a family stitched together with kindness, even when the world outside doesn't care." Keanu looked around, seeing the threads of humanity woven in every corner. Here were people who struggled, yes, but also those who loved fiercely, laughed heartily, and gave selflessly. The streets might have been forgotten by many, but for these residents they were home, raw, real, and full of stories worth telling. As Keanu and Chance continued their walk, the city revealed more hidden treasures. A late-night bakery where the owner knew every customer's favorite, a street musician whose soulful tunes filled the cool air, neighbors sharing food and stories on stoops. This was a world far removed from movie sets and flashing cameras, but it was just as vivid, just as compelling. Keanu felt a shift inside him. The boundaries of his fame blurred into the background, replaced by the immediacy of human connection and the quiet power of everyday courage. Chapter 4. Lessons from the Stray. Days passed, and Keanu found himself drawn back to the neighborhood with increasing frequency. Each visit peeled back more layers of understanding, revealing the profound lessons Chance, the dog who was no longer just a stray, was quietly teaching him. Chance wasn't just surviving, he was thriving in a world that demanded resilience. He moved with cautious trust, knowing when to seek shelter and when to reach out for companionship. One afternoon, Keanu joined a small group of neighbors gathered in a communal courtyard. They were repairing a rundown bench, their hands weathered but steady. An elderly man named Samuel sat nearby, feeding crumbs to pigeons that fluttered and cooed with familiarity. "You learn a lot from animals," Samuel said, his voice gravelly but kind. "They don't judge, they don't hold grudges. They live in the moment, finding joy where they can." Keanu listened intently, feeling the truth of those words sink deep. "It's easy for people to get lost in who they think they should be," Samuel continued. "But animals, they just are, and sometimes that's the greatest lesson." Keanu glanced down at Chance, who was lying at his feet, tail wagging gently. In that moment, he understood. Fame and fortune were fleeting, but authenticity, being present, showing kindness, embracing vulnerability, was timeless. This realization shifted something in Keanu's heart. The trappings of celebrity felt less important, replaced by a yearning for genuine connection and purpose. The stray dog, once a symbol of loneliness, had become his teacher, guiding him toward a new understanding of life and self. Chapter 5. Bonds Beyond Words. With each passing day, the bond between Keanu and Chance grew stronger, transcending the simple companionship of man and dog. It was a connection built on trust, understanding, and shared quiet moments. One rainy afternoon, Keanu found himself sitting on a worn bench in a small park, sheltering under the sparse canopy of a leafless tree. Chance curled up beside him, his fur damp but his eyes bright and alert. The streets around them were slick with rain, and the city seemed to slow in the downpour. People hurried past, umbrellas bobbing like colorful mushrooms amid the gray. Keanu reached down and scratched gently behind Chance's ears. The dog let out a contented sigh. Why did I never notice this before? Keanu wondered aloud. This world, this life, it's been here all along. Chance's quiet presence was a reminder that communication didn't always require words. It was in the shared silences, the simple acts of care, the moments of being present. Keanu remembered the countless interviews and press junkets where he was expected to say the right things, to perform on command, to be larger than life. Here, with Chance and this community, there was no performance. There was just honesty. That day, Keanu realized that the most profound connections don't need grand gestures. They grow from small, consistent acts of kindness and presence. Chapter 6. A Community's Embrace. The longer Keanu stayed connected to the neighborhood, the more he discovered how resilient and tightly knit the community truly was. One evening, he was invited to a gathering at the local community center, a modest, unassuming building filled with warmth, chatter, and the aroma of home-cooked food. Tables were set up with bowls of steaming stew and freshly baked bread. A group of volunteers had organized a small fundraiser to support local families and their pets. Keanu arrived quietly, greeted with genuine smiles and open arms. Maria, the woman who ran the center, welcomed him with a firm handshake and a twinkle in her eye. "You're part of the family now," she said warmly. For hours, Keanu helped serve food, shared stories, and listened to the dreams and struggles of those around him. No one cared who he was, only that he was there. He met single mothers juggling jobs, teenagers striving to stay out of trouble, elders who had lived through hardship but still found joy in the small moments. Chance, ever the beloved mascot, wandered through the room, receiving pats and treats. Keanu was struck by how much strength and generosity flowed through this community, even when resources were scarce. Here was a world far removed from Hollywood glamour, but it was rich in spirit, in hope, and in the kind of love that didn't seek fame or fortune. This embrace grounded Keanu, reminding him that true impact wasn't measured in ticket sales or awards, but in the lives touched and the hearts healed. Chapter 7. The Turning Point. Weeks had passed since Keanu first followed Chance into the heart of the city, but the journey was far from over. One crisp morning, as sunlight filtered through the mist, Keanu found himself at a small animal shelter tucked away on a quiet street. The shelter was modest, walls faded, cages lined with blankets and worn toys. Volunteers bustled about, feeding, cleaning, and offering gentle words to frightened animals. Keanu knelt beside a trembling puppy curled in a corner. The little creature looked up with wide eyes, wary but hopeful. "Hey, buddy," Keanu whispered. "It's okay." That day, something inside Keanu shifted profoundly. Watching the shelter workers, their dedication unwavering despite limited resources, he realized that compassion was a powerful force, one that transcended fame and money. He pledged silently to do more than just visit. He wanted to help, to make a lasting difference. The turning point wasn't dramatic or grandiose. It was quiet, intimate, a whispered promise to live a life rooted in service and humility. Chapter 8. Embracing Humility. In the weeks that followed, Keanu's public appearances became fewer, replaced by mornings spent volunteering at the shelter and afternoons helping with community projects. He traded designer suits for worn jeans and simple shirts, blending into the neighborhood instead of standing apart. Some reporters caught wind of his absence from Hollywood's spotlight and speculated endlessly. But Keanu didn't seek headlines. He sought meaning. One afternoon, while fixing a fence with local volunteers, a young man named Carlos approached him. "Why are you doing this?" Carlos asked bluntly. "You're famous. You don't have to be here." Keanu smiled softly. "Because it feels real. Because sometimes the things we think matter the most. They don't." Carlos nodded, inspired by the sincerity in Keanu's voice. Embracing humility wasn't about diminishing himself. It was about expanding his understanding of what truly mattered. Keanu realized that fame, for all its allure, was hollow without compassion and connection. And in the quiet work of helping others, he found a fulfillment that no red carpet could ever provide. Chapter 9. Challenges and Doubts. Despite the warmth of the community and the joy of his newfound purpose, Keanu's journey was not without its trials. The outside world watched closely, often with skepticism. One evening, sitting alone in a quiet corner of the community center after a long day, Keanu stared at his reflection in a cracked window pane. The man looking back at him seemed both familiar and strange. His phone buzzed with messages, some from friends offering encouragement, others filled with questions, and a few with harsh judgments. "Why risk your career for this?" one text read. "Is this just a phase?" asked another. The doubts whispered inside him, threatening to drown out the steady beat of his convictions. He recalled the countless interviews where he'd been asked about fame, about success, about his future. But no one had asked about his heart. Was he foolish to step away from the dazzling lights and applause? Yet, as the night deepened, Keanu felt a quiet strength rising. This path, uncertain as it was the one that felt true. He remembered Chance's steady gaze, the community's laughter, the small victories born from kindness. These doubts were part of the journey, tests of faith in something greater than himself. Chapter 10. The Power of Small Acts. One of the most profound lessons Keanu absorbed was that transformation rarely comes in sweeping gestures. In the gentle rhythm of daily life, small acts created ripples. He watched as neighbors shared meals, repaired broken fences, and took in strays like Chance. At the shelter, a young volunteer named Lily explained how a single bottle of medicine saved a kitten's life. "Every little bit helps," she said softly. Keanu joined in, handing out food, cleaning cages, offering a comforting word. He realized that these seemingly insignificant moments, a smile, a shared meal, a helping hand, held immense power. They were the true currency of community. In Hollywood, success often felt like an endless race for the next big thing. Here, it was measured in hope rekindled and lives touched. Keanu began to see fame differently, not as a spotlight on himself, but as a beacon that could illuminate the path for others. Chapter 11. A Moment of Reflection. One late evening, Keanu found himself alone on the rooftop of a modest building overlooking the city skyline. The lights flickered below like stars fallen to earth. The quiet was profound, a stark contrast to the chaos of fame he had once known. Sitting cross-legged, he pulled out a worn notebook, its pages filled with scribbles, reflections, and sketches from his time in the neighborhood. It was a tangible record of his transformation. His thoughts wandered to the moments that had changed him. Chance's hesitant trust, the warmth of the community's embrace, the faces of those who lived with dignity despite hardship. He felt gratitude swell inside him, a deep, peaceful kind of gratitude that transcended applause or accolades. In that stillness, Keanu understood that his journey was not about escaping fame, but about rediscovering humanity, his own, and that of others. The spotlight was no longer his destination, it was merely a tool, one that could shine light on stories that deserved to be told. He closed the notebook gently, a renewed sense of purpose settling in his heart. Chapter 12. The Ripple Effect. Keanu's transformation began to ripple outward, touching lives beyond the immediate neighborhood. Local news outlets picked up stories of his quiet work with the community, sparking conversations about celebrity, responsibility, and compassion. Neighbors who had once felt invisible now shared their stories with pride, their voices amplified by the unexpected attention. Inspired by Keanu's example, volunteers came forward, donations increased, and the community center flourished. Keanu himself remained humble, deflecting praise and spotlighting the collective effort. He often said, "One person can't do it alone. It takes all of us." The ripple effect was a powerful reminder that change begins with a single step, or in his case, following a stray dog. What started as an impulsive walk through the city had grown into a movement of kindness, proving that true fame lies not in adoration, but in the lives you uplift. Chapter 13. A New Perspective on Fame. As Keanu's story began to unfold publicly, it sparked a shift in how he saw fame and how others saw him. No longer just the glamorous actor gracing magazine covers, he was becoming a symbol of quiet generosity and humility. During a televised interview, Keanu was asked directly about his retreat from the spotlight. "I used to think fame was about being seen," he said thoughtfully, "but now I realize it's about seeing others, truly seeing them." He spoke about the stray dog that led him into a community of people often overlooked, and the lessons he learned about resilience, kindness, and the simple power of being present. The public's response was overwhelming. Fans sent letters, sharing their own stories of connection and struggle. Keanu's new perspective inspired others in Hollywood and beyond to rethink what success really means. He wasn't seeking validation anymore. He was seeking to make a difference. And in doing so, he found a deeper, more lasting kind of fulfillment. Chapter 14. Giving Back. Keanu's journey culminated in a decision to give back in a meaningful way. He partnered with local organizations to create programs supporting homeless animals and underserved communities. He used his influence not for self-promotion, but to amplify voices that needed to be heard. One project involved a mobile clinic providing veterinary care and social services to neighborhoods like the one Chance called home. Another focused on youth mentorship, helping young people find hope and opportunity where it once seemed scarce. At community events, Keanu worked alongside neighbors, painting murals, planting gardens, sharing meals. His presence was a reminder that fame was not a barrier, but a bridge, a way to connect, uplift, and empower. Through giving back, Keanu not only changed lives around him, but transformed his own outlook on purpose and legacy. Chapter 15. A Changed Man. The Journey Forward. The city lights twinkled beneath the twilight sky as Keanu sat quietly on the stoop of a familiar neighborhood building. Chance, now no longer just a stray but a loyal companion, rested calmly by his side. This journey, following a simple dog after a day's filming, had led Keanu through streets of hardship, kindness, and profound humanity. It had reshaped his understanding of fame, success, and what it truly means to live fully. No longer confined by the expectations of celebrity, Keanu embraced a new identity, one of service, connection, and authenticity. His heart was open, no longer weighed down by the illusion of grandeur, but uplifted by the real stories of people and animals he'd come to love. As he looked out over the city, he saw not just a sprawling metropolis, but a tapestry of lives interwoven by hope and resilience. He knew this was only the beginning. With chance at his side, Keanu was ready to continue walking this path, a path where fame was no longer a spotlight on himself, but a light to guide others toward kindness, compassion, and a better tomorrow. His outlook on fame had changed forever, and with it, so had his life. Thanks for watching.